You carry a quiet ache that never fully sleeps. It rises whenever you meet someone who shines in the exact way your heart longs for, yet remains just out of reach. You feel the pull, the promise, the soft tremor of hope in your chest, and still something in them stays closed. It is as if you keep loving doors that open only a few inches, enough to let light spill on your face, but never enough for you to step inside. And you wonder why your heart keeps choosing what will not choose you back. You tell yourself you should know better by now, but the pattern repeats. A familiar spark, an unfinished warmth, a silent wish that this time it might be different. It is almost a ritual, a dance between longing and distance, desire and absence. You feel the weight of it in your breath, this cycle of reaching for hands that tremble yet refuse to hold you. Something in their silence calls you. Something in their hesitation mirrors a part of you that you rarely look at directly. You try to pull away, yet your heart turns back like a river bending toward its source. There is a strange comfort in the familiar ache, a sense that the pain knows your name. You wonder if it is destiny, or some hidden thread woven long before you understood what love even meant. And beneath every question, there is a whisper that asks if you are seeking a person or an echo. You feel this tension in moments of quiet, the sense that you are chasing a reflection of something unfinished inside yourself. You sense that the story goes deeper than desire, deeper than attraction, deeper even than the wounds you admit out loud. And something in you knows that the answer is not about the other person at all. You stand at the threshold of a truth you can feel but cannot yet say. And yet, beneath it all, something still calls your name. There is a moment when you begin to sense that your heart is not simply choosing people. It is choosing symbols. It is choosing carriers of something ancient inside you, something forgotten and unfinished. The ones who cannot love you become mirrors rather than partners. They reveal the shape of a longing that has lived in you far longer than any relationship. You feel it in the way their distance wakes an old hunger, a hunger you learned before you even knew the word love. You may think you are drawn to their quiet, their mystery, their emotional walls. But something deeper is happening. Their inability to meet you becomes a doorway into the parts of you that once reached for warmth and found only shadows. The heart remembers what the mind forgets, and so you return to the same pattern, not because you want the pain, but because your soul is trying to rewrite a story written long ago. When you adore someone who cannot let you in, you enter a forest within yourself. A place of echoes and fog, a place where old memories breathe through the trees. You might not see them clearly, but you feel them. The abandoned parts of you watch from behind the branches. They sense your footsteps. They wait for you to recognize them. This is where the unconscious begins to rise. The figures you love become reflections of inner figures you avoid. Their coldness mirrors your own hidden fear of warmth. Their absence mirrors the places in you that resist being held. Their emotional distance resonates with a distance you carry in your own chest. It is not weakness. It is not failure. It is simply the psyche calling you back to what was left behind. You fall for people who cannot love you because their silence awakens a dialogue you never finished with yourself. Their emotional walls echo the walls you learned to build. Their inconsistency stirs the part of you that still believes love must be earned. And in that tension, the old story stirs again. The story of a child who reached for someone who could not fully love them and believed the fault was their own. To love someone who cannot love you is to stand at the edge of a temple whose doors remain half closed. You knock because the mystery feels familiar. You wait because the longing feels like home. And somewhere in the quiet between you and them, you start to realize that you are not chasing a person. You are chasing a memory shaped like a face. You are following the light of a fire you once lost. And as this truth rises, it invites you to step deeper into yourself. Not to seek blame, but to seek understanding. Not to condemn the pattern, but to recognize the ancient wound it protects. And you feel a shift inside your chest, a soft opening, as if the night around you begins to lighten toward dawn. You know the feeling that arrives when your heart leans toward someone who stays half turned away. It is both sharp and soft, a pull that tightens in your ribs, a quiet hope that flickers even when logic fades. You sense their warmth, yet you also feel the cold edges they never soften. Their presence lights something in you, yet their absence deepens it. And in that strange mix you find yourself waiting, returning, longing for a door that never fully opens. When you look closely, you notice that this longing lives deeper than the present moment. It rises from an older place in you, a place shaped by early impressions of love. The psyche remembers how it first learned to reach, how it first learned to hope, how it first learned to adapt. If love once meant chasing warmth through shadows, you learn to move toward half light rather than full sun. If affection once came in fragments, you learn to call fragments enough. And so the heart repeats what it knows, not out of weakness but out of instinct. It is like walking through a forest at dusk. The shapes around you are familiar, yet slightly altered. You recognize the path, though the branches hide parts of it. The air carries the scent of an old memory, something you cannot name but deeply feel. This is the forest of unresolved longing, the place where the echoes of past attachments still breathe. The figures you meet now resemble those old silhouettes, and without noticing, you move toward them as if following an ancient map. And when you stand before someone who cannot choose you, something inside whispers that this time you might reach the light that once slipped through your fingers. This time you might finish the story. This quiet wish keeps you near the closed door, hoping your presence will teach it to open. It is a longing not for the person in front of you, but for the completion of an inner chapter you have not yet turned. You feel it most in the moments of silence, when their distance stirs something raw in your chest. And from that sensation, a new question rises, preparing the way for what comes next. There comes a moment when you begin to notice that the ache you feel is not only about them. It is about you, standing in front of a mirror that moves and breathes. Their inability to love reflects the love you struggle to receive within yourself. Their distance reveals the distance you still hold from your own heart. Their silence echoes the inner places where your voice has grown quiet. And as you sense this, a subtle shift begins. You start to see how you have carried an inner division for years. A part of you longs for closeness, and another part resists it. A part of you wants to be fully seen, and another part fears what that visibility might reveal. This conflict does not make you broken. It makes you human. The psyche is a landscape shaped by both shadow and sun. And until these parts meet, you are drawn toward people who express the very conflict you still carry inside. It feels like standing before a river that reflects the night sky. You see both depth and darkness. The surface shines, yet the water hides its currents. You reach for the brightness, but your hand meets only cold ripples. The river becomes a symbol of the emotional world you learn to navigate. You were taught to admire the reflection, yet never taught how to dive. So when someone offers you only the surface of connection, you feel strangely at home. Their emotional unavailability becomes a reenactment of your own. You approach them as if approaching a distant part of your psyche. You hope that if you can win their love, you might finally earn the love you once believed was withheld from you. You hope that if they open their heart, your own heart will learn to trust its worth. But this does not happen because the story is not with them. The story lives inside you. And as this realization expands, a deeper truth stirs in the quiet. You begin to sense that the thing you are chasing outside yourself is the very thing that has been waiting within. This awareness opens the path to the final revelation. There is a turning point, quiet and almost imperceptible, when you begin to feel the truth rising from the deepest part of you. It arrives like dawn, slow and pale at first, then warm enough to change the color of everything it touches. You realize that the love you have been offering to the unavailable is the love you have been withholding from yourself. You sense that the longing you direct outward is a longing that has been wandering inside you without a home. And when this awareness surfaces, something inside you exhales for the first time in years. You see how often you stood outside your own heart, waiting for someone else to unlock it. You look back at every moment you silenced your needs, softened your boundaries, dimmed your light, only to keep a connection alive. You feel how many times you accepted almost love because you believed full love was too much for anyone to hold. This belief formed slowly, shaped by old wounds and forgotten nights, until it became a quiet rule inside your chest. A rule that told you to reach only for those who could not fully reach back. It is like standing before a temple you once feared to enter. The doors are tall. The walls feel ancient. You always assumed the entrance was locked, so you sought smaller sanctuaries in other people, hoping they would make room for you. But now you place your hand on your own door, and it moves. It opens with a gentleness that surprises you. Inside, the air is warm. A soft fire glows. You realize that the temple was never closed. You simply never believed it belonged to you. This moment does not erase the ache. It transforms it. The longing becomes a guide rather than a trap. The pain becomes a lantern illuminating the path toward your own center. And you begin to understand why your soul chose this pattern again and again. Not to punish you, not to keep you small, but to lead you back to the place where your own love waits. And as this recognition settles into your breath, you feel the beginning of a new tenderness toward yourself, a tenderness that prepares the way for integration. You feel the pieces gathering inside you, as if the river, the forest, the mirror, and the temple were all speaking the same quiet truth. You begin to sense that every person you loved without being loved back was a threshold, a turning of the wheel, a gentle insistence from the unconscious calling you home. Their distance was not a rejection of your worth. It was a reflection of the distance between you and the part of yourself you left waiting in the dark. And now that you see this, the old pattern begins to soften. The ache that once felt like a wound begins to feel like a compass. The longing that once pulled you toward the unavailable begins to pull you inward, toward a deeper center. You understand that you were never chasing them. You were chasing the forgotten places in your own heart, the shadows you avoided, the child you outgrew but never healed, the self that waited in a quiet room, patient as dawn. And with every breath, something inside you aligns with this truth. It feels like stepping into a clearing after a long night in the woods. The air is still cool, but the first light touches your skin. You hear the quiet song of the world waking. The ache is still there, but it no longer frightens you. It has become a teacher, a guide, a companion. You begin to trust your own warmth again. You begin to feel the soft radiance that rises from within when you stop reaching for closed doors. You realize that real love does not ask you to shrink. It does not demand that you wait outside your own temple. It does not echo old wounds or repeat unfinished stories. Real love meets you in the clearing. Real love holds space for your breath. Real love walks with you, not away from you. And as this understanding blooms, you feel the pattern dissolving like mist in morning light. You are no longer chasing the unavailable. You are stepping toward yourself. And in this quiet return, something sacred unfolds. You stand now in the gentle glow of your own awareness. The old pattern is still visible behind you, but it no longer pulls you with the same force. You feel lighter, steadier, more rooted in the truth that your heart was never broken, only misunderstood. You see that the people who could not love you were chapters, not destinations. Mirrors, not homes. They showed you where you had dimmed your own flame. They revealed the places where your spirit was still learning how to receive itself. And as you breathe into this new understanding, you feel a quiet peace rising through your chest. The longing does not disappear. It changes shape. It becomes an invitation to turn inward rather than outward. An invitation to sit with yourself the way you once begged others to sit with you. An invitation to hold your own heart with the tenderness you once reserved for those who could not stay. This is where the true healing begins, in the space where you finally choose yourself. In the days to come, you may feel small ripples of the old ache. Let them come. Let them speak. They are not setbacks. They are reminders of the path you have walked, the shadows you have transformed, the patterns you have outgrown. Each ripple is an opportunity to return to your own center, to your own warmth, to your own quiet truth. And each return strengthens the bond between you and the person you are becoming. There is a stillness waiting for you, a soft room within your soul where you can finally rest. You no longer need to chase love through closed doors. You no longer need to lose yourself in half-light. You can trust your own fire now. You can trust your own breath. And as you step into this deeper presence, you begin to feel the world respond. Stay close to this silence. Stay close to this tenderness. Let it guide you gently forward, like a whisper carried by dawn.